All right, can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes or no? All right, perfect, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Beats by Dre. I'll be back, okay? I'll be back. Give me 1 second. All right. Testing, testing, testing. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? All right, perfect, perfect. Wow. All right. Well, the thing about technology, it works until it doesn't want to work. But thank you, Esther Paul, for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. So, as I was saying, I just want to first off thank God that I lived to see 40 years old. Um, a couple. All right, perfect, perfect. We're good to go. Good to go. So, full disclosure, if you do not know who I am, this is your boy Chris. This is another episode of Financial Patient. On this channel, everybody, I teach you how to make money, how to save money, how to essentially build wealth, how to build generational wealth, and how to financially emancipate yourself from poverty. And I like to go live at least once or twice a week so I can kind of rap with you guys and give you free financial content. If you don't know who I am, I'm a mechanical engineer. I have an MBA. I've taught finance for over 20 years, and I thoroughly enjoy teaching essentially thousandaires, essentially how to become millionaires, and millionaires how to become billionaires, if you want to call it that. And I love making extremely complicated financial concepts, basically breaking them down to very simple steps that anybody from any walk of life can follow. Okay. I spent over $120,000 to get my MBA in finance, and I like teaching the things that I spent all that money for free to individuals, so that anyone who essentially wants to build generational wealth can do that. And I actually want to also say something else as well. About 2 weeks ago, I was doing a live session about the joys of me turning 40 and some of the financial life lessons that I learned along that way. And as it turns out, forever young, yours, y'all. I agree. I'm all ears. I'm happy to hear that. Y'all, ball me, ask me any financial question that you have, bro, and I will try to answer them. Okay. But it was interesting because when I was doing my live session about 2 weeks ago, let's celebrate this fifth super on live stream. So thank you, Esther Paul. I appreciate that. 299. Thank you, thank you. Everybody, please support your content creators. Okay, we do this thing for free out of the kindness of our hearts, out of the love of our hearts. And when you guys support us through the super chat or through our cash app, and my cash app is $CHRIS P485. It helps the algorithm, and more importantly, it helps the Feed the Family Foundation, i.e., my family. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you, Esther Paul. I appreciate it. So, full disclosure, everybody. Growing up, I lived in 4 different murder capitals. I lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Newport News, Virginia, Compton, California, and Philadelphia. And growing up, I saw a lot of things. I saw gangbangers, I saw drive-bys. I got recruited to join gangs. I saw people get shot directly next to me. A lot of my friends and teammates that I played ball with, that I hoop with, they are no longer here. And I'm saying that for this reason. If you live to see 40 years old, you need to honestly thank God, thank the man upstairs for that, because a lot of people did not live to see 40. And sometimes it wasn't even about them necessarily tricking or something about them gangbanging and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just legit life circumstances actually unfortunately happen. And as a result, they are no longer here. I got guys I played ball with that played Division I football, that played Division I basketball, that played Division I track, and they are no longer here. And it wasn't because they were out gangbanging or anything. It literally was because life just took them out. Unfortunately, they had car accidents with some of them, and other ones it was just health related issues. So if you live to see 40s, thank you, Forever Yours, I appreciate that. Yeah, it truly is a blessing. I mean, it's one of those kind of things where I think one of the reasons why the streets to a large extent never got me and why I never became a statistic was because when earlier on, when I was getting introduced to offers to sell drugs and things like that, it never appealed to me because I saw the end result of it extremely early in life in regards to my older brothers, friends getting killed, getting shot in drive-bys and stuff like that. So to me, the streets was never really an option that I wanted to pursue because I saw exactly how that road would end. And another thing too about it was anything that comes fast crashes faster. Fast women, fast cars, fast money. I was smart enough to realize that there was a very quick life expectancy to that. So it was one of those kind of things where I decided to go the academic and the athletic route, hence in regards to kickboxing, in regards to playing basketball, in regards to boxing, mixed martial arts, playing ball, running track, football, that kind of stuff. I decided to go that route. And I also decided to go the academic route because I understood that there was a much better chance of me essentially building generational wealth if I went that route. And at 40 years old, I also want to say, I just want to thank the people along the way who refused to even let me go down that path. I was always one of those guys where even if I did kind of start trying to turn in that direction, I had my OGs, I had my older brother, I had cousins, somebody that said, no, Chris, you're going to make good grades. You're going to play sports. You're not going to do the stuff that we do. And I want to say thank God for that. And because this is Mother's Day, I want to say thank you to my mom because and my father as well, because my parents refused to let me go down that road. And as a result, I am 40 years old. And there are a lot of financial life lessons that I have learned at 40. There's a lot of things that I've kind of picked up along the way to kind of make me say, you know what? If I knew at 17 or at 18 what I know at 40, oh my God, I would. It kind of it's crazy to some extent exactly where financially I would be, and more importantly, where my wife and my kids will be financially. But you know what? You don't know what you don't know. And now that I know those types of things, I enjoy teaching them to the people that actually want to learn. So that's pretty much it, y'all, for Forever Yahweh. In a lot of ways, I think that yep, you have a great testimony. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. God sent me to your channel, my brother. Only God has brought us together. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing about it. God, Jesus, He gives Yahweh, He gives us the type of things that we need to learn so that we can give it to the next generation. At the end of the day, you do not want to take the knowledge that you picked up, that you learned along the way, whether it was a school of hard knocks to the streets, or whether it was a school essentially of academia, or whether it was blue collar, whatever it is. However, you actually learned essentially what you need to learn, you need to give that knowledge to the next generation. Because even if you don't proverbially see that tree being planted, you need to plant those seeds so that your kids can enjoy the shade that comes from them. Happy belated birthday. Yep. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Reba. Thank you, Reba Esther. I appreciate that. So, 40 years old, my fourth trip around the sun. What are some of the things from a financial standpoint that I picked up and that I learned along the way? And it's one of those kind of things that I like to really, really delve into because, as I said earlier, you should not be doing the same things at 40 that you were doing at 30. You should not be doing the same things at 30 that you were doing at 20. And you most certainly should not be doing the same things at 50 that you were doing at 35 or at 25. Because if that's the case, you literally are wasting decades of your life. So from a financial standpoint, I'm not even talking about the whole physical stuff. I'm talking about just purely from a financial standpoint right now. There are many things that you need to be doing essentially to improve your life. And that's what I want to talk about in this particular podcast. Okay. So the first financial lesson that you should have picked up by 40 is that you should definitely by this point have understand the importance of having good credit. Now, being African American, I can't tell you how many comedic shows that I went to, or how many times I watched, or how many times essentially I watched BET and things like that, and they kind of always make jokes about black people having bad credit. Everybody, there's nothing funny about having bad credit. Now, I'm not going to go full Dave Ramsey mode where I say you should cut up your credit cards and the credit score is completely useless because at the end of the day, if I were to keep it completely real and keep it a buck, there is no financial correlation between having a very high credit score and having a lot of money. What I mean by that is this. I have done one-on-one consultations with people who have credit scores that are like 450 or under 500. That is a horrible credit score. And these people are decamillionaires. Now, the type of ways they build their money is not a way that I would advise most people do because it's extremely risky, but it worked for them. And there's a very good chance that it may not work for you. Having said that, I also am not going to go to the other extreme. We're saying that having a phenomenal credit score is the best way to prove a person as well. Because I have met people also who have 850 credit scores and they literally are living paycheck to paycheck and they have no money and they also have a lot of debt. So at the end of the day, credit scores are no indication essentially of a person having a solid financial base or having any form of meaningful wealth. But what a credit score does do is it allows you to get vastly better loans for your automobiles, vastly better loans for your boats, vastly better loans for your homes, and in general, vastly better loans in general. And I can also say this as well, being a young African American dude, when you walk into a bank and you got a couple thousand, you got a couple of zeros behind your name, and then they check your credit score and you're in the 800s, I have literally seen with my own eyes people who I can tell, for whatever reason, have a problem with me instantly change their entire image in order to talk to me the second they pull up my credit score. And that's a good feeling to have. I mean, at the end of the day, you can get mad about it. You can get mad about appearances and everything. But I know for a fact, depending on what I'm wearing, I'm going to get treated a certain kind of way. And also, depending on how I look, I'm going to get treated a certain kind of way when I walk into certain type of financial institutions. And one of the fastest ways to get somebody to completely change the way they are looking at you, and more important, the way they're trying to talk to you, is when they pull up your information and they say, yo, this dude makes this amount of money. and his credit score is above 825, Mr. Phelps, how can we help you? It is like one of the craziest things in the world, and it's one of the best things in the world. Conversely, I've also been on the other side of the equation where your credit score, let's say, is about 475, 480, is kind of struggling, and when you walk in there, they treat you like you subhuman, like you're a subhuman individual. It's not fair, it's not right, but hey, I live in a real world, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. Having a good credit score is a very good way to get financial institutions and financial banks and credit unions to respect you and to respect your dollar. In addition to you getting vastly better loans, it also is a very good way to get types of loans so the interest, if you do need to get a house or you do need to get an automobile, they don't build as quickly. So on Financipation, I make it very simple, right? Any credit score that is below 800 is a credit score that you need to try to bump up. It's as simple as that. And I always tell people that your credit score is primarily made up of five things, okay? Five things. So the first thing is your payment history. 35% of your credit score is made up of your payment history. So what does that mean? That means if your credit score, that means if your credit cards are due on, let's say, the 20th of the month, I advise all of my listeners and all of my subscribers, anybody books a one-on-one with me, to essentially pay off that credit card at least 72 hours in advance. So if your credit card payments are due on the 20th, you need to have 100% of that credit card paid off by the 17th, and do that every month. And the reason why is simple. If you pay it off 72 hours in advance, that gives the credit bureaus enough time to say, okay, Mr. Doe has essentially, or Mrs. Doe or Mrs. Doe has paid off that credit card, and as a result, when they take it off of your account, you're good to go. What you don't want to do is pay it around the 19th, because then you basically paid the money. It's no longer in your account, but you still got dinged for not paying your credit card balance on time. And once again, 35% of your credit score, everybody, is made up of your payment history. Next, the second thing about your the credit score that you need to take into account is your credit utilization ratio, and it makes up 30% essentially of what you do. So what does that mean? All right, in English, it's like this. Let's say you got a credit card, right? And let's say your credit limit is $10,000, right? If you basically use an amount that's more than $2,000, it starts to ping your credit. Why? Because from 0 to 20% is considered an excellent credit utilization ratio. So as a result of that, as long as you spend less than 20% of your borrowing limit, which in this case is $2,000 because you have a $10,000 credit limit, they're not going to ping you. But when you start getting 80 and 90%, that's when you start getting hit significantly. So for instance, if you have a $10,000 credit limit for your credit cards, and every month you're charging $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, even if you pay that thing off every month, you are still getting dinged by the credit bureau. So I also advise people to do this. First and foremost, I advise you to use as little credit as possible. But if you have to, try to use less than 30% of your credit card's balance every month. So yeah, if your credit card balance is $10,000, try to never spend more than $3,000. Yes, I know it's challenging. Yes, I know it's not easy, but that's where a budget comes into play. And I'm gonna talk about that later on down the line, okay? So firstly, your payment history makes up about 35% of your credit score. Your credit utilization ratio makes up 30% of your credit score. Next, your length of credit is 15% of your credit score. This is one of those things that makes literally no sense to me. I'm going to keep it completely real with you. And I don't understand this concept at all. Even when I was in grad school, I was asked this question: why in the world would I get penalized for canceling credit cards that I ain't used in 10 years? Unfortunately, everybody, that is the way the American system is set up. So in English, that's what this means. That credit card that you took out in college, right? So you can holler at that chick who was basically trying to sell you something behind the desk, a really pretty girl, or that credit card that you took out essentially you get a slice of pizza when you were in college, or that credit card that you basically filled out the application for so that you could get a new doll or anything like that, or I don't know, a Subway sandwich when you were hungry. If you cancel that credit card, that is pinged on, even if you never use it, that is a ding on your credit score. So as a result of that, length of credit is essentially 15% of your credit score. So that credit card that you opened up 18 years ago, keep it open. Yes, I know it sounds crazy. Yes, I know it sounds stupid. And yes, I know it makes no sense. But if you close that credit card, it hurts you more than if you keep it open. Even if you have not used that credit card or bought anything in like 10 years. I actually got a credit card that I got when I was in college, right? And the reason why I got it was because I was a broke college student, like most people are broke college students. And essentially, I was hungry. They say, okay, fill out this application, you get a free foot long credit card. So you get a free foot long sub sandwich. I filled out the application, got a foot long, got that sandwich. I wasn't hungry anymore. And I still actually had that credit card on one of my desks upstairs. Why? Because if I cancel, I'm going to get pinged on it. Now, once again, this makes literally no sense. I don't understand it. I actually have, I think I used that credit card one time, like 17 years ago. I paid it off, and it still has a zero balance. So I actually pull up every time I see my Experian report through the credit bureaus. Once again, it makes no sense. But in the event that I cut that card up, or I canceled it, or I tried to cancel it, they would run a credit inquiry on my report. I would get hit with it, and then they would also ding me again. So once again, if you have open lines of credit, don't cancel them. And gets my other point as well. Try to be very cautious about how many credit cards you're opening, because essentially the more you open, you also get hit with a thing where you look like a disaster that's waiting to happen. Because why in the world would you have 11 or 12 credit cards open? So that's another thing. Firstly, 35% of your payment, 35% of your credit score is made up of your payment history. 30% of your credit score is made up of your credit utilization ratio, and 15% age 44, single, no kids, with a bachelor's in logistics management. Let's go ahead and read this. All right, let me see what we got. Age 44, single, no kids, with a bachelor's in logistics management, currently unemployed with 6 months saved, no investments, some bad debt with zero interest, any guidance to build wealth. 65. Yes, I can give you a lot of advice about that. First and foremost, top checks. First and foremost, I'll say this, Paul Sullivan. Thank you for the question. First and foremost, yes, if you are 44 and you have a logistics management degree and you have no debt, the first thing I'll say. 1 second. First off, congratulations for having 6 months of current unemployed with 6 months saved, no investment, some bad debt, zero. All right, got you. So this is what I would advise you to do, Paul. First off, do you have a workable vehicle? Because if you do, there's this thing called Uber Eats. I would advise you to drive that at night. If you live in a major metropolitan area, you can probably make about $120 every night, from about 6:30 to about 10 o'clock if you want to drive Uber at night. And the reason why I say that is because it's easy money, it's quick money, and whatever debt that you have. So whatever debt that you have and everything like that, that's a quick way you can get some quick cash. Secondly, Paul, at 44 years old, you're not that much older than me. You can actually start to retool. You can recertify. So if you're in logistics management, if you've been out of work for 6 months, unfortunately, Paul, that means that your degree on your education may not be cutting the mustard essentially in this economy that we currently live in. So my advice to you, sir, would be you need to most likely try to retool your education. Now, I'm not advising you to go to college and get like a $50,000 degree or anything like that. But with logistics management, it may not be a bad idea to essentially go back to college. I'm sorry, to go to some kind of online certification, possibly get a PMP certification, or to get some kind of a degree or some kind of a certification that's specific to the industry that you want to move into. So, for instance, I'm a mechanical engineer, and one of the things that a certification that I recently got was my CQM certification. That's my construction quality control management certification. By me getting that, I am licensed to basically build on any federal job in the country because of that certification. And as a result, that makes me highly marketable in the engineering industry. Why? Because you can physically put me and my skill set and my credentials on any federal property, any military base, any airport, all across America. And that was a certification that I got, and it makes me highly employable. So, in your case, sir, as a logistics management specialist, I would say Google the top 5 certifications that a person should possibly get. Wholesale real estate side hustle skills. I would say yes, get a certification that's essentially going to allow you to become more marketable. And also, in regards to the investments and everything like that, at 44 years old, you still have about 21 years before you hit 65, right? So yes, APICS, sir. All right, cool, got you. So do you have that certification, or are you about to get it? Because if you're about to get it, my advice is find out exactly how it's going to make you market. Because if you've been out of work for 6 months, unfortunately, you're getting penalized in regards to not being employed. And there's going to be that employment gap. And if the PACS certification is not cutting the mustard, it may be time to get another one. Another thing I would advise you to do is this: you say you have no certification, you say you have no investments or anything like that saved. If that's the case, have you ever worked for an employer that essentially matches your 401k? If you have not, my advice is when you do get employed, only apply for companies that are going to match a percentage of your 401k. And if you're in the kind of industry where you do gig work or people don't match your 401ks, I would say try to specifically seek out people that do. And the reason why is simple. If you work for a company that matches a percentage of your 401k, it is free money. It's essentially like me saying, give me $5,000 on Valentine's Day, and I will give you $10,000 on Christmas Day. Now you only gave me 5,000, but you got an additional 5,000 for free because I matched the amount that you put into it. That's what you do with their 401k certification. Additionally, you also mentioned a lot of debt. I first stated that you should probably go into getting like Uber Eats or drive an Uber if you have a workable vehicle, especially if you live in a major metropolitan area because you can make a lot of money. If you live in more like a rural community, don't worry about it. Just drive to a major metropolitan area, specifically in a slightly more affluent, upscale, upper middle class neighborhood, and literally 4 or 5 hours of work every night. You can make between $130 to $200 every night. Now that's $1,400 a week over the course of a month and everything. That's essentially $5,600 over the course of a year. That's $60,000, sir. So that's something else you can do. And in regards to your debt, I'm actually going to talk about this a little bit later. But do you actually have a working budget? Because if you do not have a working budget, I want you to DM me on the side of the real financial at gmail.com, and I want you to essentially set up a one-on-one session with me. And with that, one of the first things I'm going to do is me and you are going to go over a budget, a proprietary budget I'm going to put together specifically for you. Because if you don't have a budget, and based off of what it sounds like you don't have a workable budget, that's limiting the effectiveness that you can do in regards to trying to build wealth. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like imagine going hunting or imagine going to a gun range and essentially trying to hit a target, but not having no idea what that target is actually going to be. That's essentially what it's like, Paul, if you're trying to basically build generational wealth or build any form of meaningful wealth or even invest your money if you don't have a budget. So get more certifications. I would say start to participate in the gig economy if you have a workable vehicle. So drive Uber, drive Lyft, drive things like that at night. And I would say essentially create a budget, because when you create that budget, it's going to allow you to figure out, okay, where am I weak at and what I need to do. What's your advice for a person with $40,000 in multiple credit card debt and the fastest way to pay it off? I rank the debt in order of amount and interest rate. What's the next plan of attack? Perfect. The God. This is what I would do if I were you. What's your credit like? If your credit is trash, then this is gonna be a little more expensive for you. But if you have relatively decent credit, by relatively decent credit, I mean anything above 600, I want you to drive to your local 706. All right, cool. It's not that's not too bad. Thank you, the God. By the way, everybody, please support your boy. Go to their super chat and drop $1, drop $2, drop $5. If you feeling gully, drop $20. That'd be great. But yeah, please support your boy, support our financial patient and our content creators. And my Cash App is $CHRISP485. All right, the God, let me answer your question about the debt. So you got a 706 credit score. It's actually not bad. You're not going to get hit too bad. I've seen both ends of that credit spectrum. The former credit repair broke with my own company. I'm 66. I suddenly suffered 4 strokes over the next 4 years, then COVID, then fell. All right, let me answer the God's question. I'm going to get back to you. Forever yours, Callie, okay? Forever yours. So 706, this is what I want you to do. I want you to drive to your nearest credit union, right? When you drive to your credit union, they're going to pull up your credit. They're going to pull up a lot of different factors. They're going to pull up the amount of debt that you owe. They're going to pull out whether you own a home, whether you have credit card debt, whether you have car loans, things like that. And when they pull that up, they're essentially going to say, okay, cool. If all you have is $40,000 of debt, they're going to take a look at the APY, the interest rate on your credit cards. Right now, the average APY for credit cards is about 19 to 20%. With the credit union, though, they will basically write you a personal loan for about 13 to 14% based off of your credit score. If you have a 700, it's probably gonna be around 12 to 13%. Now, $40,000 compounding every month at 20% is financial suicide. $40,000 compounding at 12%, while it's not good, is infinitely better than 20%. Take a look at any financial calculator. So what the credit unions will do is they will essentially write you a check. They will essentially write the credit cards a check and pay off that $40,000. Instead of you owing the credit cards $40,000 at 20%, 20 to 22% interest, you will owe the credit union that $40,000 at 13% interest. So I'm giving you game right now. I'm giving you game, God. And if that's the case, that's what I would do if I were in your situation, okay? And it could be potentially a loan. It could be a car loan. You can do this for a lot of different things, okay? So that's what I would do if I were you, the God. Forever yours, yeah. I've seen both ends of that spectrum. As a former credit repair broker with my own company, I am 66, 2 strokes in 2 years. I'm sorry to hear that. Suddenly suffered COVID. 1 second, guys. Technology works until it doesn't. I suddenly suffered with COVID and then fell. I'm assuming you said you then fell ill. All right. I don't know the question that you're asking me, forever yours, job, but yes. I'm sorry to hear that about the strokes and everything, and over the last 2 years. And I'm hoping that everything is good to go. Hoping everything is good to go with you. But that's what I would do if I have $40,000 worth of credit card debt and I had literally no conceivable way to pay it off. Go into a credit union, essentially get them to essentially write you a check. I'm sorry, get them to essentially write your credit card company that $40,000 check. They pay it off, and then instead of you having 22% interest to pay off that credit card, you can pay out that $40,000 through a credit union or credit bureau that essentially would do it for about 10 to 12%. And once again, do not do this from Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase Bank. Don't go to any of these brick and mortar accounts. Go to a credit union. Because if you go to a brick and mortar account, they're going to give you a really crappy interest rate, probably around seven, basically maybe 2 or 3 percentage points under what the credit cards will do, and you're basically you're not even treading water, you're still sinking. Okay. All right, let me answer this next question. Top chat. By the way, everybody, please support your boy, $ Chris P485, or go to that super chat. Okay, thank you. I also thought about getting a home equity loan mortgage. I have a 2.5% mortgage interest rate. I don't want to refinance for a higher interest rate. That's cool, but herein lies the thing, though. Don't look at your house as like a bank that you can continue taking money out of. And a lot of people that own homes, I'm finding that's kind of something that they're doing a lot more, particularly all these tariffs and everything that are going on. I would be a little worried about doing that if I were you. In general, your home, don't think of it as a bank that you can essentially borrow against. Think of it as an investment to some extent. And I would be a little hesitant to do that. If you have to go down that route, but if I were you, I would go to credit union first. Secondly, also, 66 years old, I'm gonna give you the same advice the guy that I gave Paul Sullivan. The gig economy. If you got a workable vehicle and you're in a situation in your life where you're gonna like link to schedule a call, yeah, definitely. I'll put a link below, Paul, as well. If anything, go to my website, www.therealfinancialpatient.com. You can find me there, or send me an email, therealfinancialpatient@gmail.com. I'll put a link in here as well about it, and send me an email that way. Okay. Also, in the super chat, put your information, and we'll go ahead and take a screenshot of it, and send me an email address. I'm sorry, I can take a screenshot of it, and we can go through there. Okay. But yeah, I would love to work with you individually, Paul, one on one. Based off of what you're telling me, I can definitely put together a plan for you. It's actually interesting because I was working with a gentleman earlier today about that, and early last week, and another individual last week about how to do credit repair, how to build wealth. They said they're 45, they want to retire at 65. So that individual said they were 45, they want to retire at 60. How fast they need to invest. I can tell you the mutual funds, the real estate investment trusts to get involved with, the ETFs to get involved with. I can tell you the different type of businesses you should potentially start based off of what your skill set is in corporate America. I can walk you through all that stuff. So once again, send me an email, therealfinancialpatient@gmail.com, or go to my website, www.therealfinancialpatient.com. And from there, you can send me a message, or you can just send me an email, or you can even better yet, go to my website, click the red button, book a session, and then from there we can go through it. Okay. But once again, I would love to basically work with you and kind of help you with that. See, I was answering the question. Link to schedule a call. All right, perfect, Paul. Yeah, definitely, Paul. Put your email address in the God. Oh, thank you, the God. I appreciate that, man. $10. I appreciate that. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you for supporting the Feed the Family Foundation, primarily my family. Yep. Paul, put your email address in there if you're comfortable doing that, and we can. I'll have one of my associates essentially screenshot it, and then we can go ahead and make this thing happen. Okay, make this thing happen. But this is what I like to do with Financial Patient, everybody. The stuff that I spent $125,000 to learn in grad school. When I was getting my degree, a lot of it was very helpful, and I won't lie. I think you never go wrong when you get an education, particularly if it's in science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, law, or finance. But I was asking myself the entire time, why in the world do people have to spend, literally $100,000 to learn stuff that we should be learning in school for free, in my opinion. Very little of my MBA was personal finance, but a certain percentage of it was personal finance. And I cannot understand why in the world we're not teaching this stuff in the trailer parks, why we're not teaching this stuff in the hood, why we're not teaching this stuff in the middle of America. Because at the end of the day, a strong, vibrant middle class is literally the backbone of any company, any community, any empire. And having a strong financial knowledge, having strong financial literacy is a great way to essentially build the middle class. and to continue to build the middle class. I mean, I have my suspicions. I have my suspicions about why it's not being taught in like our inner city schools or in our country or rural areas and things of that nature. But in general, the more Americans that are financially literate, the better. I don't care how you look at it. So it blows my mind that essentially, like I said, I had to spend $120,000 to get a degree, a master's degree, to kind of start getting some basic understanding of financial literacy. And that's the reason why I started Financiation. I want to teach you guys a lot of this stuff. And on top of that, I'll also be real with you. I made a lot of dumb mistakes as well, as most young men do when we come across a lot of money and you're young and single and living in major cities. So a lot of things that I learned, I essentially want to teach to people so that they cannot make the mistakes that I did. All right, so let's keep it moving, Paul. If you got any other questions for me. Into a comma, I've had to work hard to fix my health, which took me 2 years to recover after learning to walk, talk, remember, and now I'm disabled and on Social Security. Got you. Um, in regards to being disabled, Paul, can you still type? Can you still? I don't know if you can. Are you able to drive? Or when you say disabled, that's not possible. Or do you have any investments? Do you have any money saved in your budget? I don't want you to only have to rely on Social Security because at 66 years old, you're definitely going to get it. But depending on how much money you paid into it, it may not be enough for you to survive. So book a session with me, Paul, and I'm sorry, book a session with me, and I'll try to go deeper into exactly how I can help you with that. I can say this: nobody is coming to save you forever young, and in regards to being in a coma, sorry to hear that, but nobody's coming to come save you. And after 2 years, learning to walk and everything like that, do you have? Can you drive a vehicle? Can you still make money? Can you what's your motives? If I mean, what's your means to generate income? Do you have family members you can possibly stay with while you're back on your feet? There's a lot of different things I have to unpack if I can work with you. Okay. So once again, go to my website www.therealfinancialpatient.com. From there, when you click on it, you're going to see a red button that says book a session. Book a session with me, and what I'll do is the first 5 or 10 minutes. Now, no, I'm truly trying. I'm not disabled. I'm sorry, Paul. My bad. When I say disabled, I was talking about Forever Young. I got a lot of you guys asking me questions. But yeah, Paul, I'm sorry. Yes, that's what I would do if I were in your situation. Okay, so do you have family members you could possibly stay with, or you have other individuals that can help you? Forever Young, try to do that. But then, depending on what your health is, if you can physically drive a vehicle, you have a working vehicle, I can really walk you through multiple ways in regards to how you're going to actually build your wealth. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, let's keep it moving. Another financial life lesson that I learned at 40 years old, everybody, is the importance of maintaining and having a budget. This is one of the things we're trying to learn how to overcome. Thanks for your help. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Absolutely, Forever Young. And like I said, keep asking the questions. I try to go live at least once a week. I'm gonna start trying to go twice a week, but I try to go live at least once a week because at the end of the day, a lot of people just feel trapped in regards to the system that we're in. America, while it's a great country and everything, and I believe capitalism is the best form of government, we are overhyped, overmarketed, and essentially sold the dream of capitalism through acquiring a lot of debt. And I understand the reason why that's the case, but it's very challenging for a lot of people to take full advantage of the American dream right now because they're so embroiled in debt. And another thing that I find happens is that we're systematically told that there's nothing wrong with having a lot of credit card debt. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of student loan debt. There's nothing wrong with having a huge home mortgage that we may or not be able to afford. And there's nothing wrong with living paycheck to paycheck. And that is absolute crap and it's absolute trash. You should try to get out of debt as fast as humanly possible. That's why I push side hustles like Uber Eats, starting that business, having a business on the side, being a consultant in addition to working a 9 to 5 job, because you want to get out of debt as fast as humanly possible, so that you can start maxing out your brokerage accounts and maxing out your retirement accounts and living life the way you want to live it. Whether that's you retiring on South Beach, whether that's you retiring abroad, whether that's you going to a hunting lodge in West Virginia and Wisconsin, whatever your cup of tea is, you want to get out of debt as fast as humanly possible so that you can start building meaningful forms of generational wealth for yourself and for the family members that you love. The next financial lesson, everyone, that I learned and I picked up at 40 years old, once again, is the importance of having a budget. And this is one of the things that kind of blows my mind because I'm amazed how many, and it's sad to say this, but it's a God honest truth, how many 50 and 60-year-old clients I've worked with. And I say, okay, first off, what is your budget? And they look at me and say, Chris, I don't have a budget. I don't do that. To me, budgets are restrictive. And it's very sad because it is impossible to build it's impossible once again to hit a target if you have no idea what you're shooting at. I'll use my firearms analogy again. If we're going hunting and everything, and I say, okay, shoot that, and you have no idea what I'm telling you to shoot at, there's no way you're going to hit it. It's the same when it comes to your investments in retirement. If you have no idea what you should be investing, how much money you need to retire, how in the world are you going to save your money? Because if you're saving your money in a brick and mortar bank that gives you a 0.01% interest, that means every 10 years, if you got $10,000 in there, you get exactly $10. Now, if you're only getting 0.01% of an interest rate and inflation is 3%, that means you are losing 299% of your money every calendar year. So as a result of that, you have to have a budget so that you know what percentage of money you have coming in, what percentage of money you have going out, so that you can invest your money accordingly. So in regards to having a budget, everybody, I always tell people, once again, that in addition to tracking what you're spending and tracking what's going out, you also should have different ideas about, okay, what percentage of my income am I actually investing every month? Full disclosure, if you read the book, The Millionaire Next Door, that was written by Thomas Stanley in the late 90s, when he interviewed, I think, over 1,000 millionaires in America. These are not rappers. These are not entertainers. These are not country music singers. These are not ball players. These are not athletes. They were regular schmoes that were millionaires. Some of them were janitors. Some of them were electricians. A few of them were lawyers and doctors and engineers. Most of them owned businesses, and most of them essentially, get this, everybody, and this is the 90s, made less than $75,000 a year. Now, the way they became millionaires was by a couple of different things. But what was interesting about this study was that what he noticed was that the typical millionaire, and this does not matter whether they were making $50,000 a year or whether they were making $500,000 a year, they saved roughly 20% of their income for about 20 to 25 years. And by save their income, what he really meant was, if you actually read the book, was they invested about 20% of their income every pay period. So imagine imagine every time you get paid, you make $5,000. If you figure out a way, everybody, to invest $1,000 every time you get paid, and you do that for about 20 to 25 years, you'll be a millionaire. And I can show you and walk you through exactly which investments to make, where to put the money, how to do it, what's the system in place, what the sequence of operations is. I can walk you through all of that. So when you set up your budget, try to figure out a way to live on 80 cents out of every dollar that you make. If you can do that, you are essentially setting yourself on the path to becoming a millionaire. But it all starts with a budget, because if you're making $5,000 a month and you're trying to invest $1,000 a month, but you're spending $6,000 a month, you are going to be broke. Next, the next financial lesson that I picked up, I picked up actually before I was 40, but I'm hoping everybody will pick up by the time they're 40, is this: you got to understand the importance of reading. Now, readers are leaders, and I say this in a lot of my podcasts and a lot of my one-on-ones, but the average millionaire reads 52 books per year. The average broke American that can't afford a $1,000 emergency reads 1 book per year. So there is an absolute direct correlation between how much books that you read and how wealthy you are. And by books that you read, I'm not talking about like, I don't know, Twilight or fiction books. No, I mean, and shout out to Twilight and all that stuff. I'm not trying to belittle or badmouth them. I don't want them coming after me, but when I'm talking about reading books, I'm talking about reading like financial books or autobiographies about people who became millionaires, or self-help books that essentially teach you how to think differently and increase your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence, and how to get people to like you. Those are the kind of books, everybody, you should be reading. And the cool thing about it is that because we live in an automotive society, i.e., we drive hours to work every day, an hour at home, an hour to work, an hour back home. You can literally get a subscription to Audible and basically download a book and read 1 book every week for 52 weeks, and voila, you just read 52 books a year. Literally just sitting in your car. I call it highway university. So read books, everybody. That is a secret and the key to knowledge. It's like having a czar or having an emperor or having a mentor teach you essentially how they became billionaires. That's how I look at books. Once again, everybody, please support your boy Chris. Please like, comment. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. But also, my super chat is below, so you can support the channel. Additionally, everybody, my cash app is $CHRISP485. CHRSP485. Please support the channel. Please support the channel, everybody. It's definitely appreciated. But the next financial lesson, everybody, I want you to pick up, as I stated earlier, is reading books. You should be reading books like Ramit Sethi's "I Would Teach You to Be Rich," because he systematically walks people through, if you want to be rich, this is the way that you do it. And another thing I like about that book too is that typically I find when I say the word budget, it's like saying the word diet. People hate diets and they hate budgets because they look at them as restrictive. Ramit Sethi is pretty dope because he says, look, if you really love something, spend as much money every month on it and include it in your budget. So don't cut back on what you really love. Spend your money on it and enjoy that. But you should absolutely cut back 1,000% on the stuff that is not needed that you don't really care about. That's what he pushes in that book. Another book I think everybody should read is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and his other book, Never Finished, because it's a book that teaches you essentially how you have to be mentally strong to make it in this society. And I love the fact that it's actually not a finance book, but it's one of those kind of books that you can be an engineer, you can be an inmate, you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, you can be a cop, you can be a firefighter, you can be Army Ranger, you can be any walk of life, any person, blue collar, white collar, green collar, brown collar, it don't matter. If you read that book, essentially, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins or Never Finished by David Goggins, it's great because it teaches you mentally how to realize how to think through every situation and to not make excuses about why your life sucks. Because I don't care how bad you think your life is, there are individuals who have vastly worse lives than you ever will. And that book is good about that. Also, because college season is coming up soon, whether you're about to send your kid to college, graduation's here, you're about to go start the next semester after June. But another book I would advise you to read is Do You Want Profits or Paychecks? Paperback. Do You Want Profits? Pay James Madison by Kevin Smith. This is also a good book to read. I'm gonna check that book out. Profits or Paychecks? Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. I'm definitely gonna check that book out. Thank you to God. I appreciate that. Do You Want Profits or Paychecks? Yeah, I'm gonna check that book out by Kevin Smith, author. Yeah, that's a good book. I'm gonna add that to my list of books to read. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you for that. Read the book Scholarships: The Golden Road to Free Money by Christopher Phelps. Phenomenal book. If you want to learn how to send your kids to college for free and not pay a dime, that dude basically got his engineering degree. He got his engineering degree. And he got over $300,000 to go to college for free. So if you want to basically send your kids to college for free, or you want to go back to college yourself for free, or you're listening to this podcast right now in this live session right now, you want to figure out how to go to college for free. That dude basically lays out the blueprint about what works and what doesn't work. So read that book, okay? And it's very different from a lot of stuff that you'll see in regards to get rich quick or gimmicky little college books. He goes into specific detail about how to do it. Another book that I would advise everybody to read, and I actually mentioned that a little bit earlier, is The Millionaire Next Door. And I love that book because Thomas Stanley gets you to realize that millionaires, everybody, do not look like what you see on television. They're not making it rain at the club. They're not wearing flashy jewelry. They're not basically in videos. They're not basically pushing a different model every week in their foreign car. They essentially get this. They essentially get up. They work 40 hours a week. They buy their coffee every morning. They wear $10 jeans from Walmart. Psychology of Money is also another good one. I actually read that book about 2 years ago for the first time. I try to read it once a year just because it's such a good book. And the typical millionaire is not. They don't wear flashy clothes. They don't have. They don't wear flashy clothes. They don't wear designer clothes. They don't wear flashy jewelry. And essentially, everybody they literally blend in. The typical millionaire gets this: they bag their lunch, they ride the subway or the bus to work, or they drive a 7-year car, or they drive a 7-year used vehicle to work every day. And I like that book because it systematically breaks down what you see on social media for my generation, what you see on hip hop for my generation, what you see on Instagram for my generation about what fake money is versus real money. Fake money is extremely loud and it's extremely flashy. Real money is silent and you'll never know it exists. That's what I like about it, okay? And another financial lesson that I mastered at 40 and that you should have definitely mastered before 40 is that you got to love to read. You got to develop a deep understanding about reading books because smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And if you read books, it's literally like paying a self-imposed guru to come into your mind, teach you what they know, and then leave. And you can put them on the shelf and ignore them, or you can listen to the knowledge they give you. And that's what I love about books. You can read about Marcus Aurelius' books in the Meditations, how he kind of went through being a Roman emperor. You can read about books like Randall Peak, Dr. Randall Peak, about black faces in high places, about how to get a promotion when you don't look like everyone else. That's what I love about books, everybody. It literally takes you to another world and it helps. Psychology of Money is a phenomenal read as well. Absolutely. I could not agree with that more, Paul. I could not agree with that more. The next financial lesson that you should have learned, the next financial lesson that you should have learned at 40 is that you should have a basic financial literacy of financial topics. Now, this one is another one of those things that it kind of says the reason why I'm horrified at what they're actually what we're actually teaching our kids in the public school system. Because how is it that you can be 40 years old and have no idea what a Roth IRA is, or have no idea what the difference is between a mutual fund and an index fund, or have no idea essentially what a bond is, or what a trust is, what an irrevocable trust is versus a revocable trust. The stuff that I say, that sounds like it's Swahili or it's Tagalog or it's Spanish or it's Portuguese to you. Cool, you are in the right place because I have financial channels. I'm sorry, I have financial podcasts on every topic I just talked about. But financial literacy is not taught in general in our public schools. And as a result of that, it is keeping Americans, I hate to say this, dumb. And it's dumb in the worst way. It's dumb financially because being dumb financially has zeros attached to it. So the intricacies of being a financial professional. I am a financial professional. I have helped lots of people. I've taught this thing for 20 years. I know what I'm talking about. But you don't have to have an MBA or a master's degree or a PhD in finance to understand essentially how to build wealth in this country. In fact, to some extent, knowing things that work is vastly better than having a basic understanding of everything. Because I find that people that have a basic understanding of everything, they can't make a decision on what to do. But if you have an investment strategy that works, and you have the statistics and the history behind it about why it works, doing that consistently is a specific way to build generational wealth. So at 40 years old, once again, you should know the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. And more importantly, you should know which brokerage account, whether it's Charles Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, or Vanguard, which one you want to go with. For the record, I am a Vanguard, I am a Charles Schwab, and I am a Fidelity kind of guy. Those are the ones that I use. By 40 years old, you should no longer look like essentially like a deer in the headlights people. When you're at the gym, you're lifting weights, you're at the bar, and people are talking about their index funds at the Cotton Club, or you're at the Country Club, and people talking about what kind of funds they're investing into, whether they're a day trader or not a day trader. At this point, people, you should have spent enough time reading books to figure out, okay, how should I go about building my wealth? And that gets back to what I was saying earlier about the importance of reading books and listening to podcasts like Financial and educating yourself on the finer details when it comes to finance. And the good thing about everybody is that if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're in the perfect place because that means you have a desire to learn. And as long as you have a desire to learn, I can point you to the right directions about where you should go to get this knowledge. Here at Financial, I talk about all this stuff and I give it to you for free. So definitely, by 40 years old, you should have boosted your financial literacy and you should have a basic understanding of a lot of financial concepts. Okay. Once again, everybody, please support your boy. Go to the super chat button. It helps. $1 helps, $5 helps, $10 helps, $20 helps, whatever it is. Thank you. I appreciate that. Additionally, my Cash App is $CHRISP485. Okay. So yeah, definitely. The next financial lesson that you should have learned at 40 years old is that you should have a clear investment strategy. Now, I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, and the reason why is because the absolute worst thing you can do if you are making your money, this is where they're making $50,000 or they're making $500,000. And I've seen the entire gamut. I've seen people do both. I've seen people make both amounts. The worst thing you can do with your money is to essentially make it and then throw it in the bank. And the reason why is simple. Inflation is about 3.1%. If you have your money in a brick and mortar account that's only paying you 0.01%, you are losing 3% of your money every year through inflation. And because of that, having your money in a bank is a horrible idea because as your money stays in there, you're not making any money. You're losing a lot of it. So you need to have an investment strategy that says, okay, what am I doing with my money after I get it? Full disclosure, I would advise everybody to have about 1 to 2 months of their rent or mortgage money inside of a brick and mortar account, just because it's liquid cash. You'll be able to get to it very quickly. And besides that, you want to park your money somewhere else. But you should have a clear investment strategy. Whether that clear investment strategy is Forex, which I don't advise, whether that clear investment strategy is you doing crypto, which I also don't advise, whether that investment strategy is you basically putting money into real estate, which I do advise if you're doing it the right way. Where that investment strategy is you doing stocks, whether it's you doing REITs, whether it's you doing exchange traded funds, whether it's you doing bonds, whatever it is, you should have a clear investment strategy by the time you turn 40 years old. Because by 40 years old, you should have been taking full advantage of compounding interest, or being a real estate investor, or being a day trader, or whatever it is that you're into. You should have educated yourself enough to the point where you know this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing it, this is why I'm doing it, and have a basic understanding of exactly what you're investing your money into. And once again, If you have no idea what I'm talking about, book a one-on-one session with me, and I'll walk you through the finer points of this. And the first portion of that session is actually always free. So I can help you with these kind of things, everybody. I can help you with these kinds of things. But about 40 years old, it's really sad when I'm talking to like a 45 or a 50-year-old, and they have no investment strategy. And it's sad because if you know anything about the way compounding interest works, the faster you start investing into something that is building you wealth, and it's building some kind of interest rate, the faster it's compounding. It's kind of like a snowball that picks up steam as it gets bigger and bigger down the hill. Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of our lifetime. He has been investing, I believe, in the stock market for like over 80 years. And one reason why he's one of the richest men alive is not because he's a super duper guru investor, which he's actually very good at timing the market compared to the average person. But he'll be the first to admit he's a guru because he started investing when the man was like 8 or 9 years old, and he's in his 90s now. So his investments have had over 80 years to essentially continue to get bigger and bigger. And because of that, it's allowed him to become a multi billionaire. So whether it's you maxing out your 401ks, maxing out your Roth IRA, maxing out your HSA every year, or whether it's you being a day trader, whether it's you doing crypto for whatever it is, you need to have an investment strategy. Whether it's you being an entrepreneur, you need to have a clear investment strategy about how to build your wealth by the time you turn 40 years old. And the last thing I want to talk about as well, the next financial lesson you should have learned at 40 years old is that you should have an emergency fund. So this is also one of the things that I personally actually kind of did wrong because I went just when I first started got on my financial journey and everything. I looked at what the interest rates would be in regards to if I started investing my money, and I just went ham on investing my money into the stock market, into investing my money into my tax efficient accounts and my brokerage accounts and things of that nature. What ended up happening was when I hit an emergency, around COVID, I started realizing, okay, I need to boost up my emergency fund, and that's what I had essentially spent the last couple of years doing. And if you are 40 years old, by the time you're 40 years old, it is a very good idea to have roughly 6 to 12 months of liquid cash saved into an account that you can get within 1 to 3 business days, or within 1 to 3 hours. If that requires you to drive to a bank, that requires you to essentially take out liquid cash, whatever it is. You need to basically have 6 to 12 months of living expenses saved into an emergency fund. And the reason why, once again, is very simple. If you got babies and you live in Chicago in the wintertime and your boiler breaks, and it's $10,000 to fix that. If you have all your money saved into real estate, it's extremely challenging to get that $10,000 out of your real estate to fix your boiler. If you live here in Miami, essentially, and your air conditioning breaks, and you got babies and your wife at home, you do not want them being inside of a building when it's 97 degrees outside and a heat index of 105 in a building, and you don't have air conditioning. At that point, you need to have liquid cash to spend that $7,000 to $8,000 to fix your air conditioning. Same thing with having a vehicle. Same thing with having your car. You essentially have a certain percentage of your income saved into an account where you can have access to it immediately. And it's very simple about how you go about doing it. It gets back once again to having that budget. Because if you have that budget, you know, okay, cool. My expenses are $4,000 every month. I make $6,000 every month. That means my 6 month emergency fund is 6 times 4,000 or $24,000. My 12 month emergency fund is 12 months times 4,000, which is $48,000. Problem solved. But you can't do that if you don't have a budget. And that's why I am so particular about people not having budgets, and most importantly, why they have budgets. And if you book a one-on-one session with me, that is literally the first thing that we do. Once again, everybody, please support your boy, Chris, $. My cash app is $CHRIS P485. Additionally, on top of that, you can hit that super chat button and support me that way as well. Okay. And the last topic I want to talk on, also, everybody, please ask the questions. I thoroughly enjoy answering your questions. I thoroughly enjoy, and also thoroughly enjoy answering any financial questions that you guys have. Okay. The last financial topic I want to talk about as well, and it's something that is a lot of times gets truly overlooked in regards to this whole money game, is you got to take care of your body. Health is wealth. I was talking to a brother the other day, and he was telling me, me and him were kind of going back and forth about this, and he said he has never met a single female whose love language was not getting jacked. And when I asked him what that meant, he said, Chris, have you ever met a woman that says that guy is in too good of shape? Or have you ever met a woman that says, Chris, you work out too much? Full disclosure, as a happily married man and everything, I have always taken phenomenal care of my body before I got married, and I'm taking phenomenal care of my body as well, right now because I want to make sure that my wife, I remain the same man that my wife fell in love with. But my boy did make a good point. I have never met a woman that said that guy has too many muscles or that guy basically takes care of his body so he's too healthy. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I am amazed at how many engineers, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs that I run across who literally treat their bodies like trash cans and have this ridiculous idea that they can make as much money as possible, not care anything about their body, and then they get mad when their body basically trashes. Exactly, Paul. Health is wealth. Exactly, my dude. I'm amazed how many engineers, lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, blue collar types that I run across, or just flat out people who are stock day traders, have phenomenal salaries, and they spend all of their health to get their wealth. And then when they get all their wealth, they turn around and spend all their wealth to get their health back. I was at an event one time, right? And a billionaire walked in the room. This was actually, he actually, I think, was the richest man in Canada at the time. It was a developer. And when this individual, when I say walked in the room, I use the term loosely. The guy was so obese, he literally had to come in on crutches. And as he waddled into his chair, it was very sad because the guy literally physically could not do anything just about that required movement. And what was sad was I can't tell you the guy's name, but the amount of billions this dude owned, it was really sad because I would not trade my personal place in life for any amount of money to look like that individual or to have the kind of health issues that he has to have had. Because the guy literally could barely get up and walk, he couldn't move around. I'm almost certain that his love life was not where it should be. I'll just leave it at that, given the size of his stomach. And it was really sad because that's not really the way that you want to live your life. I don't care how much money that you have. It makes no sense to basically be a billionaire, die of a heart attack, and not be able to enjoy your money. And at the end of the day, if God blesses you with a great career, let's say you make $100,000 a year, right? And you die of a heart attack at 45. Well, the retirement age is 65. That means you just cost your family $2 million with the M dollars because you died 20 years prematurely because you did not take care of your body. Health, everybody, is wealth. And by 40 years old, you should have realized that by now. Yes, there is a possibility you could work out 6 days a week. You could lift weights. You could be vegetarian. You could drink nothing but water. You can step outside and get killed by a car. That's very realistic. But you know what? It's nothing. I would much rather quote unquote die at 65 being in insanely good shape than die at 55 and be a slob and essentially couldn't see myself, hadn't seen my Johnson in 10 years, and my stomach was hanging below my stomach, and I basically couldn't take care of myself. A healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man only wants one. Confucius. Confucius was a G, and I agree with God. That's so true. You got to take care of your body, people. And I'm amazed, unfortunately, at how many, like I said, working professionals or other financial professionals that I come across who honestly think that they want to take the health equation out of the game. And I'm not trying to fat shame people. I'm not trying to basically belittle individuals that have health, medical issues or health issues. That's not my thing. I don't do that. What I am saying is this: your body is the only thing that you own. So because of that, take care of your body, take care of your anatomy. God gives us essentially one temple to transverse his matrix called Earth and the universe and the Milky Way. And because you only get one body, take care of that thing. Work out 3 or 5 times a week. Drink plenty of water. Eat healthy foods. Take care of your body. Be able to please your spouse and be able to please your partner physically and sexually. And most importantly, keep your mind sharp because people that work out, we don't get as depressed as often. When life hits us and life hits all of us, we are able to roll the punches a lot better. All right. So those are some of the lessons that I learned at 40 years old. Everybody, I think I kept it pretty simple. Essentially, take care of your health. Have a 6 to 12 month emergency fund. Essentially, have a clear investment strategy by the time you're 40 years old. You should also, by the time you're 40 years old, have a basic understanding of financial literacy and financial topics. You should read a lot. You should understand the importance of reading by the time you're 40 years old, particularly reading financial literacy books. Additionally, you should also know how to you should also have a budget in place. I talked about that a little bit earlier. And then lastly, you should also understand the importance of having good credit and more importantly, how to get good credit. Okay. Before I bounce everybody, do you guys have any questions for me? All right, going once, going twice. And so this was a good one, everybody. Thank you for signing in, everybody. Thank you for I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. The God, thank you for the super chat. Esther Paul, I appreciate all of that. Okay. 40 years old, it's a tremendous milestone, and God willing, I got another 60 to 70 years on this planet to continue to live my life, see my boys grow up, see my grandkids and great grandkids. That's the plan, okay? And happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you. Happy Mother's Day, my beautiful, sexy wife. I love you too, Reba. Thank you guys, everybody. It's your boy Chris. I'm out. Peace. Peace. A healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man only wants one.